college versus a trade. Which is better? Which will leave you happier and wealthier? In this video, we are going to put the college degree versus a tradie head to head to see which is the better life path for you to go down. Now, I must admit, I've been a plumber basically my entire life, so I'm going to try my best to leave my bias out of this, be as objective as possible. I do have some experience with college, meaning I've dated girls who have gone to college while they're in college. My buddies have gone to college. My sister just graduated from Yale with her master's, so I've seen kind of that path. So I definitely get some experience on both sides. But the structure on this video, we will be first comparing pros and cons of each, and then I get some nice interesting stats comparing the two head to head to see which is better. And at the end, I will give my opinion on which one I think you should do. Let's jump into it. All right, so first we will do the pros and cons with college. We'll start with the pros first. We'll be positive to start this video off. So the first pro is exploration. What do I mean by that? I mean, you're able to explore yourself. You get the time, you get the freedom, you figure out what you do and don't like. That might be switching majors, whatever, doing a little bit of experimenting with whatever you want. You know, college is the time to try anything. But you get a lot of time to explore yourself, kind of find yourself, for lack of a better term. And that plays right into the next pro, which is freedom. This is the first time probably, hopefully, that you're kind of thrust into being an adult, finding your own food, you know, getting to class on time, having to do all the studies and everything like that. So you have a lot of freedom. It's also a great place to learn how to become an adult. And that kind of goes hand in hand with the exploration thing. Third pro, social skill building. So I've seen a lot of different guys and talked to obviously my buddies where they are able to, they're thrust into different social situations. Again, this is kind of tying off the back of freedom, learning how to be an adult, learning how to do well in certain social situations that wouldn't pop up in normal, you know, first grade to 12th grade. So that can really propel you forward in life to be better at socializing, because that's obviously a huge part of human nature. The fourth pro and the final one I have on here is networking. Obviously, you're in the same major as a lot of other people, so you can have, you know, your college buddies, you guys start something together, or you meet people that you can kind of grow businesses with if they get a certain set of skills or whatever. But it's a great place for you to meet and connect with other people with ambitions, whatever those may be. Now the cons. First one, most obvious one, cost. I mean, college is insanity. We'll get more into the breakdown of cost and everything when we do these stats head to head with the trades, but that is definitely a big one. Second, and equally as important, you're not guaranteed to get a job in your major. I mean, the amount of people I know that have gone to college and their real life full-time job has zero to do with what they went to school for is like probably more than 50%. But again, we'll get more into those stats in that section of the video. The third con, which is pretty recent to be a con, is depending on what you do, you can be replaced by a robot, by AI. Unless you're super specialized in something niche, I mean, AI is coming for you, man. And that's definitely something that would be on the top of my mind picking, you know, a particular major is, in 10 years, what is this going to look like? Because I heard a quote and it kind of scared me, but it's very true. Anybody who's born in the 90s, you understand, we are in the dial-up era of AI. Meaning we are in the very beginning. In 15 years, I mean, we're like 15 years away from like the first iPhone launch in like the way that how old AI is, if that makes any sense. So in 10, 15 years, totally different landscape, definitely something to be worried about. Because if you're getting replaced by AI and you're not even doing a job in your major, then paying back the high cost is very difficult. So those are the pros and cons for college. Let's move into the trade ones. All right, the pros and cons of a trade. This is definitely something I will have more intimate knowledge on. And if I got anything wrong with the college section, feel free to let me know in the comments. I know you will, but just wanted to say that. So, pros. Immediate earning. Right out of high school, you're into a full-time job. You're immediately starting to accrue a paycheck, which is huge. I mean, you get the people in college waiting for 4 years while you're already earning those entire 4 years. Number two, lower school cost. I mean, this has to be like less than a tenth of what college costs. And we'll get more into the weeds on that in the stats part. but lower school costs is definitely a thing. Number 3, there's usually very high demand for a good tradesperson. Again, I know I keep saying it, but we'll break that down more in the stats section. But at least, especially right now, good tradesmen are very, very much in high demand. Next one, tangible skill. You got a skill. The only thing the government can't take from you is the skill you built with your 2 hands. You know what I mean? So it's a tangible skill and makes you a lot more handy around the house, saving money if you gotta replace stuff. That can be, you know, there can be infinite positives with having those skills. Next one, not replaced by AI. I don't think in my lifetime, at least, that there's going to be a robot capable enough and smart enough to go onto a construction site or into a house, diagnose a problem, and figure it out and be able to put the pipe in and everything like that, or wire up an electrical box, or whatever your trade is. So it's very unlikely in anywhere in the near future that AI will be sophisticated enough to replace you on the job. Next one kind of ties in with a few ago with the usually high demand, but that's job security. We'll, like I said, a bunch of times, we'll get more into the weeds in the stats section, but there's not a lot of jobs to go around. So if you're anywhere half decent, you're keeping your job. Cons, there definitely are a ton, but I tried to kind of keep this a little bit shorter. Hard work every day. I mean, you are grinding your ass off all the time, every day. It doesn't stop. At 5, 6, 7 days a week, depending on if you do service, you are grinding, you are working your ass off. So it definitely breaks you down. You got to definitely be very cautious of how you take care of your body, or else you will break down fast. But yeah, hard work every day. Number 2, piggybacking off the last one, at least in some trades this isn't true, but unfortunately in mine it is. Right now I'm mainly a service plumber. Working rain or shine, it's a day, you're out there. I mean, I can't tell you, there's been jobs, you got a drain line that's collapsed, we got to dig it up. You're taking the snow blowing off the snow, taking a blowtorch, melting the ice off the ground, jackhammering up the ground to dig down 4 feet. I mean, it's brutal, man. You are out there no matter what. Unless you're in like a literal blizzard or like a hurricane, you're out there. So just be mindful of that. You are working in inclement weather. Number 3, kind of piggybacking off the previous 2. It's a dangerous job, man. I mean, you could walk down the street and get hit by a bus at any point, of course. But the dangers on a trade job are real. I mean, you slip and fall off an 8-foot ladder. I mean, that could be your life. You could break your back. Like, a lot of bad things and dangerous things can happen. I cut myself, not in that way, but like I cut myself basically every single day. It doesn't take much for one of those to slip the wrong direction and all of a sudden I'm in a brutal situation, you know? Falling off a ladder, like I said, working in inclement weather, slipping on ice. I mean, you name it, it can happen to you in a trade. It is a dangerous line of work. This next con is also trade dependent. With being a service plumber, this is definitely something that I experience, is not a guaranteed schedule. In an office setting, if you go to college and go to an office job, you're definitely more guaranteed to be, you know, the typical 9 to 5, you know what I mean? With construction, when I was doing mainly new commercial restaurants, it was 6 to 2:30, Monday through Friday, so that was definitely more kind of on the nose. Now it is 8 till whenever. The job, you could get jobs done early and you're home at 2:30. You could get stuck on a job until midnight. You don't know. The longest day I've had is I got to a pretty far down the Cape, like an hour away, at 7 a.m. and I didn't leave until 1 o'clock a.m. the next morning. So obviously I didn't plan for that to happen, but it just did. So you are not guaranteed a schedule depending the path you pick. Those are the pros and cons of a trade. Now let's jump into the stats. All right, so comparing the college degree and the tradie up against each other with some interesting statistics. So I was trying to find, and I couldn't really get any great answers on it, which avenue tends to have the happier people. I don't really know how to look that up, but what it seemed like is people who went to college were slightly more happy on average than people who, it wasn't versus trade, it was just people who had a high school diploma. And to me, if you're working in a trade, you're most likely just going to have a high school diploma. So I thought that was a fair comparison. So they, on average, going to college, they seem to be slightly more happy. And that definitely extended. If they got like a 4-year degree, then they were a certain amount of happy. And the more they kept going, which was kind of surprising to me, if they went, 5, 6, 7 years, they were slightly happier. And what the stat reference was basically just the satisfaction of being able to complete that much school. So do with that what you will, but that's just what they said. Next, I was wondering the comparison of what you make coming out of college with a 4-year degree versus going into the trades. So what I was able to find is typically fresh graduates are around 60 to 70K. Obviously, this is super dependent on like 90,000 different variables, but I'm just trying to compare the averages because that's all I can really do. So newer was 60 to 70, and with years of experience, you go to 80 or 100, and then possibly more depending. And then for the trades, the mid-level trade worker, if you're in a 5-year plumbing apprenticeship, call it between 3 and 4 years. You're making somewhere between 55 and 75. I'd say in my experience, you're closer to the 55. Then when you get more experience and more specialized, you're around 80 to 100 plus. And at this point, if you're pretty damn good, you're making more than 100K. So they seem to be on average about the same. So far, you're just slightly happier with a degree, but again, at this point, we have no debt as a tradesperson and we do as a college degree. So if that's the case, if we get more debt as a college degree, being an entrepreneur, if you create a successful business, who's more likely to succeed? Somebody with a degree or without a degree? I couldn't find great numbers on that. But what I did find is 62% of entrepreneurs have a bachelor's degree. So that tells me if you go to college, you're more likely to pursue a business for yourself than if you just go into a trade. I don't know if I totally agree with that. The amount of people that I know that have started a plumbing company or whatever field they're in because they're like, oh, I got the skills, I can do this, is a lot. Most of them fail. I couldn't find crazy great stats on that either. But so yeah, if you go to college, you're more likely to start your own business, which I just thought was interesting because like I said, we got that issue of trying to pay the loan back. And what is the typical loan payback? It might be your next question. From what I found, according to 2025 overview, the average student borrower takes about 10 to 20 years to pay back student loan, which is approximately a $40,000 to $50,000, total loan, with interest rates ranging from 6 to 17%. These are pretty huge ranges, but 10 to 20 years, I'd say nowadays with the way that wages are and everything and how expensive college is, you're probably pushing more towards 20 and more towards that 17% interest rate. I mean, that's brutal, man. That's no joke. Especially with the other stats kind of saying that you're making the same as a trade would. That's definitely something to consider. Trade school, on the other hand, when I went about a decade ago, it was $750 a year. Now, in plumbing, in Massachusetts at least, it's a 5-year program. You go through each tier, and I know 5 years sounds like a lot, but just bear with me. You go through each tier, you test out of each tier. And most companies that I know, as soon as you test out of that tier, they will actually refund the money. Like they'll pay for the school as long as you pass. So my school was literally free. The 5 years sounds like a lot, which it is, but in schooling for plumbing in Massachusetts, you can only do 110 hours, which isn't a lot. It's night school. Depending on the school, it's 1 to 2 times a week from 5:30 to 9:30, which it's never really all the way till 9:30. But you're 4 hours, 4 to 8, once or twice a week, and you're at a real school. So if they're on winter break, February vacation, whatever, you're also off. If there's staff meetings after hours, school's canceled. So it's really not that much in the grand scheme of things. It's just the 5 years takes a while overall. So the other thing that I had mentioned previously too is on the cons for college is the major. That you probably and maybe won't get a job that is in your major, especially depending on what you go for. So according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, only 27% of college graduates were employed in jobs closely related to their major. That's like, so 3/4 of the people who went to college weren't getting jobs related to their major, which could then mean college was just a huge waste of time and money that's taken you 10 to 20 years to pay off at 17%. I mean, that's kind of crazy, and that's something to weigh out for sure. And I found another survey on Career Builder, which said 47% of college grads said that their first job was not related to their major, and 32% said they've never worked in the field related to their major. Those are extraordinarily high numbers. Either people are going for like bogus majors and something that's like just not a real career path, or they're just like insane competition. I don't really know which one is true, but that's pretty alarming that there's like a 50 to 75% chance that whatever you go for in your major just doesn't matter. So let's say you want to go in a trade. I was talking before about job security and everything like this, and what do I mean and how can I back stats like that up? So the US population at this point is like give or take 345 million. There are only 500,000 plumbers in the US licensed on a rough estimate. That is 0.14%. That's like nobody. So that's why I'm saying if you're half decent, dude, you are cooking, and then you can demand way more because nobody's coming for you. That's why I was saying over 100K in plumbing and in trades, if you're decent, is like not that crazy nowadays. Only 500,000. To put that in perspective, there are over 1 million licensed physicians in America. So there are half the plumbers as there are licensed physicians. That's insane. That's job security if I've ever seen it. And it doesn't look like it's getting too much crazier. Actually, let me pause the recording and I'm gonna check and see what the median age is, what the average age is for a plumber, because I'm pretty sure it's like 50 something, but I want to double check. Okay, so just looking at this, the data isn't super great. It's giving me a range between 41 to 58. So I'm not 100% sure, but that's still, you know, decently up there as far as if you're, you know, a kid coming out of high school looking to get into something. They're going to be aged out. There's so little of them that even by the time that you become good, unless there's a huge wave of people going into the trade, and I mean like triple to quadruple the amount of people that are in right now, then you're going to be golden, man. There's not a lot of plumbers. Job security, you appear to make around the same for in like just out of college versus an apprentice versus getting more experience in the field. They seem to be about the same. College has debt, trade doesn't. What is the average lifetime expected earnings? Because like I said, trades are hard work. If you don't take care of your body, you're definitely going to break down a lot faster, and that's obviously going to inhibit your ability to work. You might end up on disability or whatever. So I wanted to check those stats because I thought that'd be pretty interesting. So as a college grad, it looks like lifetime expected earnings, you're looking between 2.2 to 2.8 million. And as a trade person, you're looking at 1.8 to 2.5. And obviously that's going to vary. You can exceed if you're owning a business, stuff like that. Like the money seems to be decent, pretty much the same. It's really, do you want to go to college and be more in an office, be more in a temperature controlled setting with debt, or do you not want to have that debt but work your ass off and be outside? To me, obviously this is going to be biased, but I would suggest a trade. To me, it's got to be more rewarding. Looking back and seeing something you've built is just, you know, when I did that, you know what I mean? It's super rewarding, especially in service when you get a lot of people with, you know, they're calling you at their worst moment. Their water heater flooded and whatever, and you get those jobs done and how thankful they are. It feels like you're making a real difference. Obviously you can do that with a college degree too, depending on your field, but this is my opinion. If you're what mechanically inclined, to me, I gotta go trade, especially with the job security aspect. If you're not mechanically inclined at all, don't try. Just go to college. But yeah, I think if you can learn, if you're, you know, hardworking, then I think the trade is perfect. And like I said, there's job security. No debt, job security, earnings are about the same. That sounds like a winner to me. But let me know what you guys thought about this video. Let me know what you guys think about the stats. You got anything to add? You want me to make a follow-up? Things like that. If you did like the video, make sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, I will catch you in the next one.